Everyone for your patience. We had some technical difficulties that are now taken care of. Welcome to the Town of Gray Planning Board meeting for November 14th. I'll call the meeting to order. First order of business is roll call. Jenya. Present. Melinda.
Present.
And I am Dan, also present, so we're all here. Next up is minutes approval. This would be for minutes of the October 10th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. Hot mic there. Anybody have any comments or corrections on those minutes?
No.
Nope.
Is there a motion to approve as presented?
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. Next up is information exchange. Kristen, did you have anything for us?
Sure. Just wanted to update the board that we did have that zoning ordinance update about the private solar energy systems that was brought to you in the statutory public hearing at your last meeting. And your input was shared with the council at their meeting on Tuesday. And they chose to table it to get some additional information about the water district's concerns. I don't know, Dan, if you want to speak to that in any more detail?
The main concern was some conflicting information about PFAS and some other things, so that the council decided to table it until we could get some more expert opinion. So we hope to take it up at our next meeting, and also we'll invite the water board to be there at the same time. So if we do make any changes, it will come back to you, because we'll have to start the process over.
And then I just had one other note, correction to the memo. I had a note, staff note number 1 related to the sketch plan, that they hadn't yet added the clearing table, but they're amenable to doing so. That was a mistake on my part in the memo, so I just wanted to correct that.
Memo for tonight.
Memo for tonight.
Yeah.
Yep,
Anything else?
that was it for me.
Okay.
I have one little thing.
Sure.
So I'm working on the climate adaptation plan, which is required by DEP nowadays. And I was looking on the flood, which happened late last April, and it met 500 years storm boundary. So just an idea, maybe we should stop looking on the 25-year storms and change the ordinance required to start looking on the 50-year storms and up. Recommend to change the ordinance. And that's all I have.
Great, thanks. Melinda, anything?
Nope.
And I don't have anything either. So we'll keep moving along. So we'll move on to new business. We've got one item, and that's a sketch plan. This is a request by SE Development, represented by JP Connolly of DM Roma Consulting Engineers, for planning board sketch plan review of a proposal to create a 5-lot subdivision on the 17.21 plus or minus acre parcel at 30 Campbell Shore Road at tax map 56, lot 17-19 in the rural residential agricultural zoning district and the shoreland zoning stream protection district. This proposal is subject to shoreland zoning and to major subdivision review.
Good evening.
Welcome.
So, as the chairperson has stated, that my name is JP Conley. I work for DM Roma Consulting Engineers, and I'm here with my client, SE Development LLC. We're proposing a 5-lot subdivision, conventional subdivision, not an open space subdivision, off of Campbell Shore Road. It's identified as parcels lot 17-19 on tax map 56. We're proposing approximately 851 linear feet of subdivision road and 5 larger lots. The intent is to develop these lots with duplexes, and I was hoping to get some feedback on our initial layout and design of the plan. We did meet with the Open Space Committee last night. We did get a couple of comments that we're digesting and trying to figure out a positive way to respond. They're interested in an easement at the north edge of the property to provide future trail connection. And during the discussion with them, they expressed an interest in a loop trail system on our site and potentially allowing public access to it. And to do that, we would have to provide a couple parking spaces. They thought 3 would be adequate. So we are considering trying to adapt those interest into our project, and we'll let you know how that goes. We probably will ask to meet with the Open Space Committee again before we come back for preliminary, and just to, show them what we were able to accomplish and make sure that they were on board with it. Other than that, I was hoping the planning board could give me insights to what they'd like to see me add to the project before I submit for preliminary and final. As well as
Okay.
answer any questions about the project.
Sure. Do you have more of a presentation, or is that it? Okay. Kristen, did you have anything you wanted to start with?
Just the staff comments, which we've already gone through with JP and like he's already working on, just where I don't know if you want to unroll the large one for folks to look at or not, it's this rolled one, but
Yeah.
you can see it on the front here too. There's a shared driveway. That I was just suggesting that there be some snow storage easement areas at the end of the road and for that shared driveway area, just so there's understanding of where the snow is going to go. And as we've done on some other projects, suggesting that there should be some actual signs on site to say that this is a stream buffer, do not disturb, behind here. So if you're living there, you know where it's marked out to. And again, the third comment was about the clearing limit and pervious limit for each lot, which we did talk about adding. That's not there yet. And the others are kind of basic notes that we put on most plans. So that was the bulk of our input for the edits to the plan. Question about whether or not the board would want a sidewalk on this project. This is a 10 unit shorter road, I think, than we talked about with the last project, but one of the questions put before you. And the Open Space Committee, as JP mentioned, they had good input from last night about hopes for a potential perimeter trail and some parking. They're really advocating for having trails open to the public in subdivisions if at all possible, and I've been trying to start those discussions with developers to see if there's something that they can make happen. That's where they were coming from. There's a good summary of what they were pitching, and I think those are the bigger things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think what I'll start with, JP, there were a number of staff comments in the memo, 10 of them. Did you have anything there that you wanted to talk about before you get board input?
No, I think we're pretty comfortable with all of them. There were no surprises from my perspective.
Okay, so you're happy with all that then? Okay, so I think we can, start with some comments. I'm happy to get started. So I guess, my first thing is there's a lot of wetlands on this site.
Yes.
You're stuffing a lot of infrastructure in around them. The first lot stood out to me as, you've got an approximate stream location and your 75-foot setback, and it looks like your driveway and building envelope is like right up to that.
Well,
So-
we did adjust that slightly.
Was that the change that you made, the late breaking change?
No late breaking changes. I just, I worked that out just to see if it would, physically fit layout wise. So I did rotate the building and pulled the driveway outside of the 75-foot setback to the stream. 75-foot setback to the stream is a structure setback.
Yep.
So the driveways, utilities, wells, can be put in that setback with a permit from the DEP. So we didn't really find that to be too cumbersome or an obstacle. It may make that develop, the septic design and the well location could predicate on the size of the house that's built there. It could be a single family, potentially, if things don't fit very well. But we should know that in the next few weeks when we get our HEG 200s and our hydrogeo assessment completed. So I'll be able to make that change before coming back to you. It won't be something I'm doing before final.
Okay, so you just touched on one of my future questions, which was around single-family homes and whether you'd consider doing that, because that's, as you remember, the last time you had a similar development in a similar location. I've got similar feedback about, you know, that being more of a fit with what's there already, and whether that would be a consideration or not.
I think we're gonna go forward with as many duplexes as we can. The lot has a density allowed, based on our calculations, about 12, a little over 12 units. We're proposing 10, and it's really the only, we're restricted with low road location because of the wetland impact. I'm trying to keep our, out of a individual or tier permit for NERPA and stream crossings and wetland impacts. Right now, it seems like it could be considered a PBR. So that would be a much smoother process, meaning that I have my permits in hand before you guys give approvals, which I prefer. So whether we're open to it or not, I really haven't reached that. It's the preferred method is the duplex. I think based on that last project, I don't know if anybody's seen the construction that's taking place out there, but the houses are getting built, the road's been done, it's been really well built, and I think the community is actually going to be accepting of it. It's a higher quality build than I think a lot of people were anticipating. And I mean, I haven't gotten any feedback that, hey, we're really pissed off at these things, excuse me. But, we heard that language before that was built.
Yeah,
so. But at the same time too, I'll ask my client if he's amenable to it, and if we have a big outcry, we might consider something different, but right now, duplex is our approach.
Okay, so I haven't seen what they put in there, but on that topic, do you, are you planning to build something similar, or what are you planning here? Or are you not that far along yet?
We've been kicking around ideas. The applicant would really like to have single-story ranch-style duplexes out here, which I think would be a really good design and allow for a lot more opportunities for customers to, you know, be able to live in single-floor style homes. Whether the architecture, I think it will be similar in the approach and aesthetics, but just on a single story shared garage, not shared, but two-car garage, one for each unit kind of setup. So that's really, add to that.
And then just kind of, we'll stick with layout for now. I don't remember the numbers, but you've got the lot numbers. I can't see them from here. Well, I guess I did look at this one. So I guess it would be 5 and 4. Like, those are pretty tight also to the stream setbacks, and I'm just curious why they're not pushed up further into the, what looks like higher, drier land.
So I think the intent is it's really about the length of the road and getting frontage for each of these lots.
Mm-hmm.
So with lots in Road 5, I wanted to keep that development as tight as I could to each other so that the tree clearing and everything else isn't expansive. Going further to the west on Lot 4 would be a possibility. Pushing that Lot 4 further north would be a possibility. Lot 5 is sort of restricted to where it is. There is a small development envelope on Lot 5, but I don't anticipate any wetland impact associated with it. The tree clearing line is within the 75-foot buffer, but again, that's a permit, an arbor permit adjacent to a resource area. It's typically just a PBR.
Okay, I've got one more layout question, and then I'll hand it over to you guys. So, on the road, what's I wasn't following the black square, whether that was just like some printing artifact, or it's, so you've got
Black
the
square.
roadway.
I see it
It's
too.
in the roadway, it's just.
It's just a mishap in hatching and printing.
Okay.
It is just gravel. It's representing gravel driveway.
Okay. So let's maybe stick with just layout for now, if you guys have additional comments on that, or questions, or anything.
Nope, not yet.
Would you say sidewalk is related to layout or no?
I was gonna handle it afterward,
Okay,
but.
all right, that's the next thing
That's
I
its
wanted to
own
talk
thing.
about, so, yeah. No, I don't have any other layouts, you raised some good
Yeah.
questions. I would say I have less concern about duplexes, particularly of high quality. It sounds like that's what happened. I'm curious on that, are each of these lots, they each could be purchased separately, they're not, but the lot stays together, so no one could buy half of the lot, it's not being condoified or anything like that, right?
No.
It's-
So any homeowner at this point in time looking to purchase one of these would have to take both
Gotcha.
duplexes. There's not an intent to condo.
Okay.
Do you mind if I tell them what the intent is to maintain these as under one ownership and rent
Oh,
them, ideally. But we're not gonna commit to that. That's the goal. You know, economics may change that, and, but the client would like to maintain these as apartments and rent them. And so all the lots will be under one ownership. The HOA, the road association, will be maintained by one entity. And aside from that, we'll have potentially town access and maintenance easements for the trail system.
And the sizes of the houses, it might be in here, were they 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom?
There'll be the intent is 3-bedroom each, so 6-bedroom total on each lot.
So it's a lot of septic for that small spot, and then by the stream on
Well,
everywhere.
Will be, I mean, so we are gonna provide the hydrogeo, we're not gonna ask for a waiver from that, and we're gonna provide the high-intensity soil survey, which has already been completed. I'm fairly certain with this layout, we'll have a scenario where septics will be up front, wells will be in the back. So I'm pretty certain that by the time, these are sea soils as well, so the plumes will be similar in length as we saw on Jenny Drive. I think they're like 75 to 80 feet, is about the range of that plume. And quite frankly, when nitrates hit a wetland, they kind of go away. So as long as the nitrate plumes aren't leaving the site, I don't think you'll be seeing any problems with the septic systems at all.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. I'm just kind of checking through discussion points here. So I guess one thing I didn't quite follow, when you talked to the open space committee, they were asking for a trail easement, but there's no trail there. Like what are they, I don't understand what they're looking.
So they kind of went through, they looked at the GIS, excuse me, and to try to see the proximity to the nearest trail. And I believe there were a couple of properties, one to the north, it's landlocked, and another property that is undeveloped that potentially could in the future be developed. So they were looking for us to provide, similar to what we did on area estates, at the very end of the back lot, we had an easement provided so that there could be a future connection to the open space. It just essentially went that, and I think that easement would ultimately be incorporated into any loop trail system that we provide as well. So it'd be one and the same. So, and we may end up doing one or the other or both, you know, a combination of. We're still not committed yet.
Okay. I guess, Kristen, I'll ask you a question on this because I wasn't quite following what we might comment on your point number 2 on the stream protection, shoreland zoning area, wetlands, and NERPA stream and associated setbacks. What did you have in mind there?
I think probably what you've already spoken to, just those were the bigger components of the site that stand out, the wetlands and the
Yeah, yeah.
there's a significant stream, shoreland zone in the upper part, northeast. And the other stream that goes through, I think it's stuff we've already talked about at this point, the
Okay.
setbacks from them and so on.
Yeah. And then I guess I'll ask the board, but you're looking for agreement on staff comments, which I agree with them. Do you have
Yeah.
anybody else have any additional thoughts? I agree with all of them, but I think you're asking specifically about number 1.
Yeah,
Right,
just look at,
so-
just see, those are the ones that are particular to like the specific changes to the plan that we
Mhm.
kind of.
Yeah. And then your last question is sidewalk, and I'm a yes, it's a must-have for me.
Yeah, I think especially with this density, this housing is gonna be probably full kids. They're gonna need sidewalks. I'd say sidewalks, yes.
I'm not sure where the sidewalks would go. Are we looking for sidewalk connection to Campbell Shore Road? 'Cause there
No,
aren't-
sidewalks on the property.
Well, I mean,
I would look for it to the road.
Where, what does the neighborhood look like adjacent to it? I'm trying to picture.
there's
Single-family houses.
Single-family
on either
houses.
side.
Yeah, and there's not a sidewalk on Campbell Shore Road.
no.
No, but they need to get to a bus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, generally, you know, we find that projects of this nature, most of the time, people walk in the street anyways, and I would be concerned with adding sidewalk to adding the impervious area to further impact resource areas. We are using the private minor street standard, so it's a little bit wider road system than what we could go with. So I hate to say it, but I think I'd like to push back on that and make you reconsider, or ask you to reconsider. I just don't really, especially if we're gonna provide a loops trail system, everything else, I tend to feel that, you know, somebody walking down the street, if it's morning traffic, we're gonna have one-way traffic predominantly out of there. There should be 6 to 8, 10 feet of, you know, passable area so somebody could walk fairly safely. Grades on the road will be fairly flat and mundane. So I wouldn't think there'd be a visibility issue as well. And quite frankly, you know, if there are kids going to the bus stop at the end of Campbell Shore, one of the things we find nowadays is that we'll have a stacked set of cars down there, so most of the kids don't walk all that far and sit in the car waiting for the bus, so that parents can keep an eye on their kids to some extent.
Are all the driveways gravel?
Yes.
So the road is paved, but the driveways are gravel?
All
No, it's
gravel.
All gravel. Oh, well, that would make even harder to have a sidewalk on gravel road.
I mean, we could provide maybe some additional space, but like, you know, it'd be really kind of odd to have sidewalk with a curb. You know, it would be hard to construct and maintain, and keep.
Is the other development also gravel? Or was
No,
it-
they opted to pave.
Okay.
similar, they were looking to, you know, the steepness of the road on that one was
Yeah.
predicated
Yeah,
a lot of
was
that.
steep, that's true.
And stabilizing it and making sure it was, you know, we had drainage issues and things like that that we had to address, and, you know, keeping it paved with curbing, directing it to the swales, and,
Mhm.
you know, was important in that one. This one, not so much.
Mm. Hmm.
I'm not about sidewalk.
Mm.
It's too small. I think this development is too small to invest
Mm.
money into the sidewalk.
I have to say, I'm a fan of sidewalks in terms of just being pedestrian friendly, but this is a very wet site. There's a lot of wetlands to try to avoid, and adding more impervious area would impact that even
Mhm.
more,
Yeah.
which I don't love.
It would be hard for me to make the argument to the DEP that I'm minimizing impacts to when I'm adding something that's not required by your ordinance.
Hmm. I don't like it when we're not all in agreement. It's weird.
Sorry.
It freaks me out.
I think it's part of the part and parcel of being as part of this country at this time. Sorry.
I think what's most important is that it's pedestrian friendly and safe. And sidewalks tend to do that, but I'm having a hard time picturing a sidewalk on a gravel road.
Well, it doesn't have to be a paved curb sidewalk. There's other ways to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could do an expansion of the pavement or the road section, you know, going from our, I think, it's 18 or 20 foot total foot, you know, section to say a 24 foot. But again, I'm going to have a difficult time just from the Campbell Shore section to the first lot. Just before the first lot, there's a stream crossing.
Yeah.
And so that essentially would be the absolute terminus of what I'd be able to do. So it would be connecting lot 1 to lot 5 with the sidewalk. It you know, with the loop trail system, that could be something they could utilize. You know, the client is very intent on providing some sort of recreation area, and he'd like to build some trails out here. So, you know, and quite frankly, you know, providing an easement within that right of way for public access as well,
Yeah.
should be considered, I think.
I mean, adding impervious, if you could increase, you know, the trail use is a very attractive thing for not just this parcel and the people that use this parcel, but for the public access, it's
Yeah.
definitely attractive. I don't know what the land looks like back there. It's
It's-
just wooded, so.
Well, we would probably have a site walk, I imagine, and you'll be able to
We
get
will.
that opportunity. There is a driveway that goes in now, there's an existing driveway that goes beyond the first stream crossing. So it's a good, that was the most difficult part to access on the lot site. That's the kind of like the most stagnant water area. As you get in further into the site, with the exception of the northeasterly corner where we have the Allen Bog tributary that runs through, that's associated with the shoreland, the site is actually very walkable. So I've walked the extent of the site several times. I've crossed the stream on the westerly side of the project site, the larger one, the more predominant one that comes through the site, and there, even like it's not really wet. It's wetlands for sure, but the 3 times I've been out there, I didn't wear rubber boots. It was, you know, work shoes or, you know, regular, you know, leather boots. So it didn't feel like I came out of there wet or soggy or encumbered, you know. So that area of the site is actually, it's really attractive.
You mean the upper?
So yeah, so basically the lot 3, 4, and 5 area and beyond and further to the north and the west. Um,
I think if some publicly accessible trails can be managed, that would help me get okay with the lack of sidewalk, even though they serve different purposes. I get that, but I'm
Yep.
just, in terms of, if we're not gonna have sidewalks in deference to protecting the stream, then I would like to see the other parts of the land be leveraged
Yep.
in a way that wouldn't be increasing impervious, but still would be making the land.
I don't mean to be crass and say we're definitely opposed to sidewalk, but in the situation is that the drainage out here is going to be fairly straightforward. I am going to have some road. I'm going to have a road sail on one side of the road, so the other side of the road will be just cleared to basically catch slope. If I flatten those slopes out, we'll have a nicer grass walkway.
And it wouldn't be impervious.
And it wouldn't be impervious.
Yeah.
So I'm open to doing, you know, a little bit more tree clearing and going from like, you know, 3 to 1 side slopes to something like 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 that's manageable to walk on and not really like you're walking on the side of a
Yeah.
hill.
Yeah.
I just am concerned about my DEP permits, my NERPA permits, and you know, wetland impacts in general. I mean, that's kind of,
Yeah.
every time I come into Gray, I focus on the natural resources. It's, you know, not just Gray, it's me, it's, you know, I'm a conservationist by nature, so.
I think that could be a good backstop for safety. If people can easily get off the road. I know when I run and I'm running on a road that has no shoulder, it's a little scary, even if I'm in a quiet area that doesn't have a lot of traffic, because if a car comes by, like, then I just have to jump in a ditch. So if you could consider that, I think that would satisfy me over a you know, more impervious area. I don't know. That's my thinking.
I have some comments, but I'll ask Jenya if he's got anything for us.
Not really. I really agree that with the engineers that it's very hard to do. It's again, and well, I wouldn't support.
Say that, sorry, I didn't.
I will not support the. Well. Okay, I need a minute like to formulate what I think.
So we're gonna have a difference of opinion again around the trails somewhat, I think. I am definitely in favor of keeping open space and your tighter, you know, compaction and all that. I thought, you know, along the lines of sidewalks is, you know, the trail, a trail following the road, separated from the road. I'm not personally sold on the idea of a loop trail, a publicly accessed loop trail, really at all. I think, you know, it's fine if you want to do something for your residents, but you also have to consider there's impacts of doing that to the neighbors. If you have neighbors on 3 sides of this subdivision, and, you know, it's more than just what's on the site, so. And there's a lot of wetlands there. I'm not sure until we, you know, we just had a conversation about why we can't or shouldn't put a sidewalk in, and I see a stream that bisects the entire property and most of that whole left side, so I question whether it makes sense to be building trails in there. I think it's fine for open space, but.
Well, the trail construction is going to be the same standard detail that we've used numerous times. It's the, you know, 6 to 8 foot wide trail, no clearing, no, just brush removal and limb cutting to make sure you have an open path. And it would meander so that you don't have to cut trees. I think I think our detail says 3-inch caliber and smaller can be cut, but larger trees don't get cut. What we were thinking is providing, if we had to provide public access, we put it within an easement that's, say, 25 feet. That should give them the ability to wiggle the path through that 25-foot area without having to remove any trees. So no surface disturbance, just limbing, brush removal. In their areas where we have steep slopes, we would allow like the log step style to happen, but I don't foresee that being necessary on this area.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd still stay 75 feet from the streams with the trail system. I wouldn't put the easements down there for numerous reasons.
Okay, we'll see what you propose. We need to set a site walk.
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
So
Can it
what
be,
do you,
sorry, excuse me. So can it be like in the version of shoulder on the side of the road? You know, so it's actually the slope will be very, say like minimal, like under 1%, for example. And like it will be like 2 feet or 3 feet wide. Would you
For the
consider it?
sidewalk.
Would you consider it as a
I think,
sidewalk?
I don't know, I think we're getting into too much detail.
Okay.
This is a sketch plan at this
Okay.
point, so let's do our site walk.
Will be very helpful.
And we can pick it up after that and after they refine their proposal. When are you looking to do a site walk?
Well, we'd like to get back with preliminary application as soon as possible. I don't think we'll be ready for the December meeting, but for the January meeting, it's a possibility. So at your leisure, as soon as possible.
Okay.
We have darkness to deal with.
Yeah, I'm hoping that folks might be able to meet a little bit early or late afternoon, like 4 o'clock or something like that, or
Oh.
3:30.
It's pushing it too.
Yeah, I think it's gotta
It's
be-
dark at 4:30, so if we walk 15 minutes in and
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's
Only need
the, it's the
3:30.
worst. You pick the worst possible time.
I could do
Three.
3
You could do,
on a day, because if I'm working from home, I can just leave and then go back to work after.
I could probably make that happen. I think weekends are just gonna be too hard to try and do.
the client and I are morning people, so we could do morning as well. If that's
Yeah, it's true, more daylight in the I'm good with early morning also, but it needs to be either the beginning or the end of the day for me.
Would like a Monday work for you guys?
Monday works, what day are we thinking?
Well, it's gotta be far enough out for public notice, so
December 2nd? Is that too early?
could be, I guess, potentially the 25th.
That's the weekend,
Or-
that's the week
oh.
of Thanksgiving.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
hard one.
Yeah, the soonest we could get notice out would probably be Monday.
So it would have to be beyond
I
that.
think we could pull off, but then people aren't getting their
So-
mail until,
Yeah, yeah.
2021
So
maybe.
December 2nd?
Looks like I could do the 2nd.
Shouldn't have any problem with it.
Okay. 3:30 sharp? Is that enough time? How long do you think we need up there? I mean, it's easy going, you say?
Yeah, I
It's not a
mean,
huge site.
no.
I think we would want to see your center line of your road and lot locations.
Yep, we'd be open to doing that. Yeah, we're,
About 45 minutes of daylight, and then even after the sun goes down, you still have a little light to
Yep.
get us out.
unless you wanted to do first thing in the morning,
I
basically.
mean, we could do 3, I guess. I'm just trying to be respectful of people's
Yeah.
work days.
I would be all right with 3:30 if it's an easy site to walk and we're not likely to be.
I think at that point in time where it's gonna be fairly dry, whether we have snow on the ground is probably the only
Oh, yeah.
concern.
I mean,
But I don't think we have much of we're limited in terms of your noticing, and I don't really want to make Kristen go through huge hurdles to get the noticing out and done in time, so.
yeah, yeah. let's do 3:30, and we're leaving at 3:30 sharp, so don't be late. How about that? Does that work for everyone?
It does.
All right. So, just the last, anything else from you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to
So-
just reiterate the date and time just for the public. Just-
Second.
December 2nd at 3:30, we'll do our site walk.
Thank you.
So typically, this is not a public hearing, so we don't typically have public comment, but I do see some members of the public here. So I'll offer, if you have any comments and wanted to step up, I can open this to public comment, because it's always better to get feedback earlier rather than later. Anything?
Is there a chance I can get a picture of the plan that they got going on there?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll give you
I
one.
don't have
In
it.
fact, you can take this one tonight if you like.
You can have, yeah, you can have one of these.
I just needed something like that. Thank you.
Okay, so,
Yes, if you have questions, you can reach out to the planning office. Happy to walk you through whatever, or connect you with the developers, or something you want.
Yeah.
We're land buyers, so we're just a little concerned with what's going on. We're not totally against it. Except for the new walking plan, I'm not really happy about that.
so, I'll say, well, we can't, if you're gonna talk, you should come up here, so people on TV can hear it. I'll just say, if you guys have feedback, the sooner you get it to both the town and the applicant, the better, because it maximizes their chances and flexibility of making changes, so. All right, I think we're done with this one then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Next up is continued business. This is final plan review for Mail Mills subdivision. This is a request by Andrew Gervais of Gervais Homes LLC, represented by Austin Fagan, PH2M Engineering, for planning board final plan review of a proposal to create a 13-lot subdivision on his 49.83 plus or minus acre property near 279 Mail Road at tax map 21, lot 26-20 in the rural, residential, and agricultural and business development 1 zoning districts. This proposal is subject to major subdivision review.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you for that introduction. My name is Austin Fagan, here representing Andy Jervis, Jervis Homes LLC. So this project was last seen by the board on September 12th of this year. The board had a chance to make some comments for things that you'd be looking for on the plans. We have worked with Kristen and as well as the third-party review engineer to address their comments. Some changes you might see since the last time you saw the project. We have added the 4-foot at-grade sidewalk that was requested. Let's see. We have provided correspondence from the abutter on not requiring any screening from the roadway entrance. We have provided the nitrate analysis for septics on the site. And once again, we have worked with Kristen and the third-party review engineer to address all of their comments. Slightly after the submission deadline, we did get another round of comments from the third-party review engineer, which are in your memo tonight, and did respond to those with a letter. But I'd be happy to cover any questions the board might have tonight. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. So I see a number, you just ran through a lot of the updates, we see them in the memo. There's some additional comments from the consulting engineer, which are perhaps new to you since your updates, is that true?
So
referring-
that was the after the fact submission that we made.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the board's had a chance to see those.
Is that an email?
No, that was the update, the email I saw was in reference to the other project.
Oh,
Right, now there are multiple responses that we had, which I referenced in the memo. There's an
Yeah.
October 11 and an October 24
Right.
response
Yep,
that
Yeah,
they've addressed the engineer responses. I think the only thing that there was some potential disagreement about was the gravel driveway,
Yep.
the engineering note number 1. That was the only piece I believe outstanding that wasn't just straight up addressed
Yep.
from the engineering perspective, so I think that would be the
So-
only piece to speak to.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to get to. So we've got the updates, and then there's more comments after those updates. One of them, well, so there's 6 of them, but the first one being shared driveway, gravel instead of asphalt. So, we're not aligned on that yet, is that true?
That is correct.
Okay, so, why do you believe that it should be gravel and not paved?
So in terms of this driveway, it is relatively short, about 300 feet. It's proposed to be super elevated and be elevated above the existing ground surface. So any runoff from up gradient areas will, go along the sides of the roadway and be either directed to culverts or other stabilized area. There's not a significant amount of water that will be running over the roadway surface other than what's falling on it. And once the roadway is compacted, much like other gravel roads that you see for full subdivision designs, we don't believe there's going to be any notable erosion unless there is a major storm event where, even paved roads, shoulders would go away at that point. So not a significant amount of maintenance if this is not a paved road, in my opinion.
So that sounds reasonable, but what I would say is I'm hard pressed to disagree with I know you're also a PE, and I'm hard pressed to disagree with the PE that represents the town. So I think that's where I would stand. I'm not saying you're wrong, but we've got the town engineer saying it should be paved, so for me, I don't have a good reason to disagree with him on that.
Did you want his actual language? I don't know if you all have printed copies of this. I believe I had sent it. This is the November 5 final comments, which I don't know that made it in your packets, but
Nope.
just to share that with you, that the engineer comment was we recommend paving the driveway to prevent erosion of the driveway and sedimentation of the ditches along Mail Road. They were asking for the reasoning why it was being proposed as gravel. That's what he's answered tonight,
I see.
just so you understand what his question was, just in case you don't know the copies.
Can I read that?
Yep.
I didn't quite follow.
I think it's the first one. I think it caught his eye that it was gravel, so he was just asking for some understanding of what.
Okay, so all right, so the town engineer has not responded to their response then, is that where
Correct.
we're at?
Correct.
Okay, so I'll hold my comment then. Let's wait to see what
Yeah.
the response is from the town engineer on that point. Yeah, I didn't see this. Thank you.
Can I ask a question of action on this one?
Sure.
Is the reason that you do not wish to pave it just a money savings thing? Is it, because it's impervious either way, whether it's gravel or pavement, correct?
Correct, yeah, it is an additional cost that's incurred by the applicant. And like I said, if this was a major segment of roadway, I would understand that, where the roadway that is proposed, the Old Mill Road, that will be paved. Understanding that, there are steeper slopes, more properties to protect. This is more or less a long driveway shared between 2 people.
Gotcha.
So just hoping to not incur additional costs that
Yeah.
we don't see as necessary.
Right.
Yeah, so where I'd be at on really all of these 6 are the 2 engineers need to work it out.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't be weighing in at this point. I think we should let them
And the other
work
piece
it out until they can.
on
and when
that
they can't,
too,
then
then-
we'll work it out for them.
you said like in a normal storm, I don't think we have any normal weather ever anymore, ever. So as much as I have a gravel driveway myself, I'm not against gravel at all. Where gravel works and is sufficient, I'm totally fine with it, especially if the engineers are like, yeah, that makes sense. And I agree with the chair that I'm going to be deferring to the experts that you pay, but to do this. But I would say the consideration of like normal weather, we probably shouldn't assume.
Okay. Thank you.
fair point, but they do have design standards. There's
They-
design storms that they design to, and that's the way it works.
That's true, but it just seems like our design standards probably
Yeah.
are not quite where they need to be right now, because the 25-year storm is the 50, and yeah, they're just different these days, so it's changing very fast.
Someday that storm that is a 500-year storm will be frequent enough that it will be a 50.
Yeah.
Then it's a 50.
Well, it might be a couple hundred years, so.
So,
Anyway.
okay, so on those, we'll let you guys continue to work it out. Okay. Next up, there are a couple staff comments. I think it looks like these have been addressed. Oh, no, okay, there's still more. Unless they've been addressed in that November
Where are we?
5th. Sorry, I was on you had 2 staff comments on page 5. So in addition to the comments addressed on October 11 and 24, you have 2 new comments.
Yep, yeah, those are just kind of housekeeping.
Those are still outstanding.
Yeah, the only one that the new lot numbers are kind of a housekeeping thing. The other piece for board input is the discussion point number 1, that references staff comment 2 above it.
Yeah,
So
right
that's
there.
related to the clearing limit for the
Yep.
road entrance, and I just had some questions on that, looking at the plan about the language on the face of the plan is somewhat loose on the clearing that would be needed to put in the road. And so I had run that by our engineer, and that input was that he felt it may be necessary for the site distance, and was cautioning against keeping too narrow of a window on the clearing.
Yeah,
I
so
was-
can we talk about the clearing?
Yeah.
Sounds like we're there anyways.
Yeah.
So explain to us, if you would, what you're wanting to do.
So the note on the sheet 1 of the plan just states that an adequate clearing will be provided for the roadway and associated grading. So what you see on the plan is there are no-cut buffers that will be pinned, and the bounds of those are set by the extents of the grading for ditches. So that is, what you see on the plan is the extent of where the clearing will take place. And if it's, just adjusting the note to work for Kristen, we'd be happy to do that as a condition of the approval, if you're willing.
Okay, that's all right. So I see the buffer. Sorry, I'm not finding the cut
Would be for the
note.
road.
Yeah.
If you look at note 16 on sheet 1, there's a note that says, a 50-foot wooded buffer shall be left undisturbed along Mayall Road, as shown in the plan. Clearing may take place for driveway access to lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In parentheses, lots 1 and 2 have a shared driveway, as shown on sheets 6 and 7 of the plan set. The clearing at the intersection of Mayall Road and Old Mill Road is limited to the area required to allow all roadway grading as shown on sheet 3 of the plan set. So if you look at sheet 3 of the plan set, there's the extents of the grading, and that's where the no-cut wooded buffer pins would be.
Yep.
So it's just, the sheet 1 note is referring to that area as the
Oh,
limits.
gotcha.
I have the large one here.
No, that's fine. So just to clarify the language you are looking for, Kristen tightened up the description of that.
I mean, if you feel it's sufficient, referencing the plan set, page sheet 3, I think you said it was, if it's outlined on there to your satisfaction,
I mean,
that's clear enough. So
It
we're
sounds
good?
like he's happy to include your requested language. I think I heard you say that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if it's
So-
a minor change, it's very workable.
Are
Yep.
we okay with that then? So,
Yep.
yep, so let's just go ahead and include.
Okay, I think on first read, it just looked kind of loose.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I know
agree,
you guys
yeah.
agree on buffer and not
Well,
clearing a lot,
it's up to
so.
interpretation what's required for the grading, so I think that was a good pickup, thank you. Okay. We're doing good here. Any other comments from the board on anything? Before we look at deeming it complete? I think it's complete pending, obviously addressing, well, it's complete, but you're still gonna need to address what we talked about tonight.
Now, in terms of, it seems like the only holdup may be the driveway paving issue. Is that correct?
There were a few things that it looked like you had to work out with the engineer, unless you've already agreed to all of the other ones.
Yeah, so the other ones were relatively superficial in terms of, just changes with the design information. It was about a culvert for the shared driveway. We adjusted that as they had requested, updating the ditch. Post-development stormwater management plan, label a subcatchment, which was done. For under-drain soil filter, we just had to move an outlet. That's been done. Number 5 was the peak elevations for the 25 and 100-year storms needed to be updated on one of the plans. That was updated. And on plan sheet 7, there was just an extra invert that was shown. So we updated that. Not sure, I can talk with Andy, but if the board would be willing to, give an approval with a condition of approval that, once the review engineer is happy, we can have the plan signed. We'd love that.
I bet you would.
I think the other big piece that came to you tonight from last time was the hydrogeologic study.
Right,
With
so
the
we have
plumes
that.
overlaid, so
Yep.
you've had that to review as well.
Yep.
That was probably the bigger piece.
Right.
But yeah, we could certainly add, as part of the conditional approval, something related to sign off from the town's consulting engineer related to approval of a gravel driveway.
I'm guessing we could probably get
If you
there.
want.
Let's get it complete, and then we'll tackle that one next. So, is there a motion to find the application complete?
There is.
All right,
I move to find the application by Andy Gervais of Gervais Home LLC complete per 401.7.1E for planning board final plan review of proposal to create a 13-lot subdivision on his 49.83 plus or minus acre property near 279 Mail Road at tax map 21 lot 26-20 in the rural residential and agricultural and business development -1 zoning districts. The proposal is subject to major subdivision review.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that was unanimous. The application is complete. So next up would be, I guess, whether we want to consider the final approval or not. I know we typically don't like conditions, but it seems like we're down to just 2 pretty small things here. So I think I would be fine with moving forward with that. So one is we need some language about, well, that's in addition to the 12 conditions that are already there, but.
Yeah. Number 5 is drafted as a placeholder. I think we could probably simplify it a bit. Note 16 shall be amended to clarify the amount of clearing, something like that.
Yeah, but, well.
Clarify.
maybe we should
Clarify
have
the clearing
We
limits.
should really have the language.
Right, I'm just asking what you want.
Oh.
What language?
Clarify the clearing.
Shall be amended to clarify the clearing limits at the intersection of Mail Road and Old Mill Road. Does that work?
Well, yeah, but what are the, oh, yeah, okay, shall be amended to read. Well, you're looking for it to be specified,
I had drafted it as a number of feet,
yeah.
but given the feedback from our consulting
Right.
engineer, his concern was if the board limits it too much and gets really specific,
Yep.
then they need to clear
Yeah.
more, the site distance is impacted. So that's not good either. So I was just suggesting simplifying it, and it's something we can,
Right, so what are you proposing to simplify it to? I
Uh,
agree, we don't want to call out, specify feet.
right. So note 16 in the face of the final subdivision plan shall be amended to clarify the clearing limits at the intersection of Mail Road and Old Mill Road.
Period.
Does that work for you? Clarify the
Well-
clearing limits?
Could we say something to the
Well, it
satisfaction
doesn't.
of the town planning staff?
That's what I was, yeah. That's what I was missing. It's like you have to clarify it, but to what? So that works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Works for me. One of you lucky board members gets to read this, so make sure it's
All right.
written down the way you like
I
it.
just wrote it down.
Can't do just one through
Well, yes, we
12
will,
is,
we will do that.
Well,
We won't
have to
read all
the-
those, but the
we have to-
special ones.
We're gonna read the two special ones, so are you?
And it's fine to just say town staff. We don't need to be more specific than
I
that.
think you could probably say
I'd
town
say the
planner.
Okay, town planner.
Um, And then the other one is related to sign off from the town's consulting engineer regarding the gravel.
So let's
Driveway for
make
lots one
that
and two.
a number 13.
Let's finish, are you happy with the revised number 5?
I am.
Okay.
Do we think I am? Is
I
everyone
don't know.
happy?
Why don't you read it?
All right,
So-
clarify the clearing limits at the intersection of Mayall and Old Mill Road to the satisfaction of the town planner.
I would keep the beginning, note 16 on the face.
Oh,
of the
yes,
front.
yes, sorry. I was just,
Reading the change. Yep.
that was reading the change
Mhm.
only, yes.
Yep, okay, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
So then the other one is alignment on whether the driveway is paved or gravel, and I'm perfectly fine deferring it to whatever the town engineer agrees is acceptable.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
would support it either way, so
Mhm.
that maybe is a similar, that the paving,
And that's not a note.
it's
so
not,
it's-
no, that's, we need a new one for that.
So that would be number 13.
That'll be number 13, and it would read something like,
What's the 2 lots?
1 and 2, so shared driveway for lots 1 and 2.
you could probably say something like the shared driveway for lots 1 and 2, making this up, but maybe either gravel or asphalt pavement at the
Discretion.
direct discretion of the town engineer,
Yeah.
or at the determination. Let's say at the determination.
Oh, the town's,
As determined appropriate by the town engineer?
I think as determined is fine.
yeah, probably as determined, and it should be town's consulting engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for clarity at this
Yeah,
point, because
yeah.
we do have
A
our
town
own
engineer,
engineer. Who is
Yeah,
not
but
part
the-
of this process yet.
I was actually wondering about that.
Okay, all right, so this is how it would read. The shared driveway to lots 1 and 2, maybe gravel or asphalt as determined by the town's consulting engineer. Does that cover it?
I think so.
Number 13 note?
Sounds a little weird, but I think it
Yeah,
works.
I know, it is a little.
We all know what it means, I think.
Well,
It's more
the
like
applicant
they-
knows, that's
I would
most
say,
good.
I think I would say something like are permitted to be either gravel or
Like what you're
asphalt
saying,
at the,
instead of maybe.
as determined by the town's consulting engineer.
Is permitted.
Well, it's paved on the drawings.
Yeah.
That's the road, isn't it?
The newer detailed sheet.
Yeah, the road is gonna be paved, it's just the
Yeah.
driveway.
Yeah, the newer detail sheet, I believe, does show 1 and 2 is gravel.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be on the,
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's just a
Base.
driveway.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my only benefit as chair is that I don't have to do that.
That's true.
One of you two has to, so.
Uh,
Okay. You good to go?
I think so. All right, ready?
Yep.
I move to approve the application by Andy Gervais of Gervais Homes LLC, represented by Alston Fagan of VH2M Engineering, for planning board final plan review of a proposal to create a 13-lot subdivision on his 49.83 plus or minus acre property near 279 Mayall Road at tax map 21, lot 26-20 in the rural residential and agricultural and business development -1 zoning districts. This proposal is subject to major subdivision review and subject to the following conditions listed in the town's memo, 1 through 12, except number 5, condition shall be as follows. Note 16 on the face of the final subdivision plan shall be amended to read, quote, clarify the clearing limits at the intersection of Mayall Road and Old Mill Road to the satisfaction of the town planner, close quote. And to add a note number 13, shared driveway to lots 1 and 2 is permitted to be gravel or asphalt as determined by the town's consulting engineer.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yep.
All in favor? You're off and running. That was
Thank you.
unanimous. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, and we'll be in touch to follow up on the other pieces. I had already sent that question to Will, but
Yeah,
I
that was
hadn't heard
good.
back quite yet.
Okay,
About
sounds
the
good to me.
gravel driveway.
Thanks for doing that.
Okay, last up is adjournment.
You do it. Motion to adjourn.
No.
Oh, motion to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn. Second.
Give it to John, yeah.
All in favor?
All right.
That's unanimous. We will close the meeting. That clock is wrong, so 8:10.